I would say the first 18 years of my life were just normal, pretty much like everybody else's. I mean, I didn't get in trouble. I didn't do anything like that. It was once I got out on my own, then I started experimenting and doing different things. And I got into, alcohol, and not a lot with drugs, but yes, I did mess around with drugs. It changes you. But during the time of all this, they throw a Bible verse at me, pushing Jesus, right? And at the time, I despised them. And once that started happening, I read the Bible. I got in and I read it from front to back, because this was during the times that I was supposed to be going to college. Maybe for the first semester I went to class like I was supposed to. After that I didn't. I was too busy partying and having fun, and like I actually got kicked out of college, so you can't go to class too many times totally wasted before they tell you don't come back. With the people talking to me and all they were doing was witnessing. Some of them a little bit more. I mean, you get the kind that'll just flat out tell you you're going to hell. And I was getting some of that too. Well, then, like I said, I began to read the Bible front to back. And I got to where when they would throw a scripture at me, I could actually use a scripture to contradict what they just said to me. And I got really good at it. Now, looking back, I know that it was Satan using me to try to get to Christians, because I got to where I did that all the time. Like I could just see somebody and they looked like a churchy person, and if they talked to me, then there I would go. It got bad enough that I just kind of quit believing at all. I just got with the wrong crowd big time. And there was a guy there that he was actually like into the satanic worship, and and like he would try to talk to me, and then I had the Christians on the other side trying to talk to me. And I just didn't got to where I didn't believe at all. Because of that, I just wanted somebody to say something to me. That's when I started with, I started with a tattoo over here, and it kind of started as that. That's not what it is now, but that's what it started as, just to get someone to talk so that I could tell them what I thought of them. It was like that probably about 18 to, I was about 22, 23. Then I met my wife and we started to date. We dated for 2 years and we were married. When we were planning our wedding and everything, they went to church, her mom and dad and her. And as long as they didn't push anything on me, I was fine. I even went to church with them sometimes. I wouldn't really listen to anything that was said, but I went with them, and it was just because I was going with her. We're planning the wedding, and they're wanting the Lord's Prayer in the wedding, and I told them, nope. There's not going to be any praying in the wedding. It's not going to happen. They wanted it at a church. No, we're not going to do it at a church. We're going to do it in a building over here. I think we did it at the Salita Jane building over here in Brownfield, and got the JP to do it. I wanted nothing to do with God, nothing at all. So we had the wedding, and the JP threw it in at the end. The Lord's Prayer, she threw it in at the end. Well, that made me mad, like furious mad. When it was all over, I hadn't paid her yet, and I told her, well, I don't know how you're going to get your money. You're going to talk to them, because I ain't paying you. You said this. I told you we weren't doing that. You did it anyway, so. And I'm assuming that Dieter's mom and dad paid for that, because I did it after that. It went on like this, and then I just began to work on Deidre too. I don't believe that I ever really turned Deidre from Christ and from believing, but we didn't go to church, and you could tell. Later on through the years, it just got to where we fought. 7, 8 years into being married, we were just fighting all the time. The kids, they wanted to go to church. There was a lady that would always come and pick them up. I didn't keep them from going to church as long as nobody was pushing anything on me. So the kids would go at Wednesday nights to a youth class there at Wellman. Like I said, as long as nobody messed with me and tried to force me to do it, then that was fine. But the fighting, it just got so bad, because when I was doing all the things that I was doing, I couldn't trust anybody. I had jealousy problems, and I never was physically abusive, but I know mentally and spiritual everything, other ways other than physical abuse, I was bad. And it got so bad, I mean, we would fight and she would just leave, 3 or 4 hours, she'd come back. But during all this time, her mom and dad, they had moved up to Stamford. We went to visit a couple of times and we liked the little town. It just seemed like when we got away from here, it got better up there. So we decided that, we're going to just move up there and see what happens. Try to make things better, or else, because I don't know how she stayed with me. Our oldest especially, she was really pushing to go to church. Her mom and dad said stuff about church, the church they went to, but I told them I'm not going. So one morning, it was on a Sunday morning, they wake up and they're all the kids and Deidre are all dressed, and I was like, what are you doing? Well, we're going to church with mom and dad. And I was like, well, you know what, I'll show you how these people are. So at the time, I had most of my tattoos already, and honestly, when you do have the tattoos, the bald head, and you look different, people do judge you. Just as I judged people that looked a certain way, like because they're churchy people. So I judged them, but people judge people all the time. That's human nature. That's just how we are. You can try all you want, but at some point in time, you're going to judge someone else. So anyway, I told Deidre, I'm going to show you. So I put my flip-flops on and my shorts and my tank top, and we went to church. Because everywhere else we had always been, as soon as I showed up like that, you could tell. You could tell by the way they looked at you. But we go to this church, and it wasn't like that. We walked in, and everybody was there just excited to see us. And it was crazy. And like I'm getting the God bumps right now because of the way it was. It's like we were home. It was crazy. So we went back the next Sunday. And we went back the next Sunday. Then we started going Sunday nights. Then we were going Wednesdays. In October the 21st of 2007, I was 35 years old. We were at church that morning, and the preacher had been reading our mail evidently, because what he was saying was right to us. And so we're standing there, they're doing the altar call, and we're standing there and white-knuckling the back of the pew, because I'm not going to walk out in front of everybody. It's not happening. Then I look over, and Deidre takes off. And I was like, dang it. So then I took off too. And we went up there and we were saved on October 21st. The following weekend, Sunday after that, we were baptized. It wasn't much long after that. Then our kids, man, the one after the other, they were saved and baptized. The pastor there, he was like the Bible studies that he had, he was teaching like if we were in seminary school. And that's what he was trying to do. And he was actually wanting to get it going to where we could have credits. I mean, he was trying to get all that where he could do that. Like Wednesday nights, we would go 7 o'clock, and it might be 9 o'clock before we get home. Because, it was just, and we were just eating it up. Like we couldn't get enough. It was in 2008, me and my wife both surrendered to the ministry. After surrender to the ministry, then it wasn't, a little bit after that, then they had moved me to the youth pastor there at Trinity, where we were going. That was some of the most fun that I ever had was with those kids, because not only was I trying to teach them, they teach you. They'll bring questions in, and like if you don't know it, you better go look it up, and because they'll test you. I learned a whole lot from those kids there. We jump over here into February 14th of 2009, but right before all this, I started talking to the pastor. Because of the way I did when me and my wife were first married, and I didn't want anything, I wanted nothing to do with God in the marriage. I started talking to the pastor there where we were going to church, and I told him what I was going to do. I was going to buy her another ring, and I was going to ask her to marry me, and I was going to do this the right way. So February the 14th, 2009, my kids brought her down the aisle to me, and we were remarried. During this time where I was working, I'd kind of lost up there at Stamford the job that we lost it, but a job came up. It was at a Christian camp right down the road at Luther's, maintenance and just whatever. You did whatever you needed to do. So I took that job. But then while I was there, the guy that was over it, they were trying to plant a cowboy church there in Stamford. Him and some of the other people from this cowboy church, they were trying to get me to be the pastor of this cowboy church, and so we went to San Antonio, and we did a whole bunch of classes there in San Antonio for planting a church and doing everything with this cowboy church. But then I told them, no, I may live in the country, but I ain't no cowboy. And I told him that's just not, I don't feel like that's what I need to be. I mean, I'll help you however you want, but I don't think being the pastor is what God's called me to right now anyway there. So we helped them plant that cowboy church there in Stanford, and still working at the camp. And then, because Deidre was working there too, was in the cafeteria. It happened, I had a slow summer with the camps and all that. Well, they ended up laying us off. This was late the summer of 2009, we were laid off. Just couldn't find a job anywhere around there. Stanford had none, Abilene, nowhere. It's like nothing was happening. Looking back this direction, which I don't know why we came back here, but it's God's plan, not mine. So I found a job and I started working at the county. So, but before then, we got to looking, and there was a little church. It was needing a youth minister, so I talked to them. You know, they said yes, we'll do it, and then so I was the youth minister there. And that went on, we were about 18 months, 19 months into it. Everything was good, man. I mean, we went from like hardly any kids to, you know, there'd be 15 or 18 in our youth class, and sometimes more. But then we just had some issues and some stuff went on, and we ended up we left the church. We went all over, we just hopped from church to church to church. Then I was really upset with what went on. Now I look back and you know what? We're just people, man. We all make mistakes. I made mistakes, they made mistakes, things happen. But at that time I was so bitter and mad about it. We never turned our back on God. We still tried to find churches, but it's just like, I was just like so messed up about what went on that I didn't trust anybody. I was kind of falling backwards to what I used to be. We would drive up, all the way to Clovis to go to church. We went back to Stanford on Sundays. For a long time, we would get up in the morning and drive 2.5 hours and go to Stanford every Sunday for church. What could we do there? We couldn't be involved in the church. And that's what we wanted. We wanted that again, where we could involvement. And we couldn't do that driving 1.5 hours, 2.5 hours away to a church. You can't. Probably the last 5 years, we just stopped. I don't even want to go to church anymore. We didn't even go. And I don't know if you've ever been called and you know what you're supposed to be doing and you're not doing it. It's like it just eats you up. Because we knew, we surrendered to the ministry. We knew what we're supposed to be doing, but we weren't. Last year at Easter, Deidre had been having some problems. Went to the doctor. Actually, we first thought it was food poisoning. We didn't even worry about it over the weekend. And then Monday, she was feeling a little bit better, and then Tuesday, she felt bad again. So she goes to the doctor, and they do a sonogram deal, and they say, oh, it's your gallbladder. We're going to have to remove it. So they set us up for a week later, on the following week after that, to go have a consultation with the doctor, surgeon, to remove the gallbladder. I'm telling you, within those 2 weeks, she looked like a zombie. It was bad. Like 30 pounds she lost. She didn't have any color to her skin. We just thought it was gallbladder. So we're looking at 3 weeks here. Since she's been sick, we went 3 weeks. They set us up. We go in there. It's just an in-and-out surgery. Take her home the same day. We're sitting in the waiting room, and then a nurse comes in. He says, hey, I need you to come back here. So they take me back in this little room, and he says, I don't know if she's going to get off the table. Her appendix have been ruptured for a long time, like a good while. He's trying to clean her out now, but she may not make it off the table. You know, that hit hard, because everything we've been through, like she's the one with me that kind of holds me to be what I'm supposed to be, because I don't. I'll mess up, but she's the one that'll help hold me like I need to be. And I was thinking, man, what am I going to do? I never thought that she was going to die. I never did. After he cleaned her out, he come over there and he said, okay, she's in recovery, she's doing good, but like her appendix completely exploded. I mean, she had several pus pockets, but looking at her inside, she should be dead. The infection was walled off and stopped. It never passed anywhere. And I told him, oh no, I know why. Because God stopped it. And then that's the same thing. He said, this is like a God thing. God held the infection in one spot. So then after that, and then she come out recovery, and we're in the hospital for 3 days. You know, I mean, she had the tubes and the drainage tubes and all that, but it was just an eye-opener that, hey, God's not done with us. We had come here to church right after all the things that happened to us with the church, and it just, it wasn't the church, it was us. We just weren't ready. We just were looking for any little thing, or we wouldn't have to be involved, because, I mean, your church family's gonna do that to you, then what's the point? What's the point of doing anything? The appendix was, with Deidre, was an eye-opener, that I honestly probably should have found her dead in bed or dead in the chair, because 72 hours is the most you normally live with an appendix rupture. She went 3 weeks. So after that, then we thought, you know what, we're going to come back over here to Calvary, you know, and here we are. And I'm Chess Baker, and that's my story.